for tomorrow. May we observe a silent invocation for a minute, please? Thank you. I would now request the club secretary, Suman, to go ahead with her announcements. Suman, over to you, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Gargi. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let me first announce the birthdays. We have 2 birthdays in this month. The first is our Rotarian Varghese. He, in fact, celebrates his birthday on Monday. We wish Varghese the very best. He's not here in the meeting today. And yeah, the other is Asha Ghosh. Moving on to the wedding anniversaries, we have Chaitra and Mukund. They will be celebrating their wedding anniversary this Saturday. Chaitra, we wish you and Mukund the very best.
Thank you.
This weekend, we have an important program. We have the Interact Raila. This is the second Interact Raila that we will be holding in this year. And this will be held as a 2-day program on Saturday and Sunday in Sishu Mandir. It will be conducted by the youth committee led by Rotarian Sabarwal. I would request the Rotarians, if you will get the time, it will be nice if we can come and attend some of these sessions. We also have the board meeting on this Saturday. This is being hosted by Rotarian, our vocational director, Madhu, and this will be held in Gymkhana Club. The other important announcement I would like to make is that we don't have our next Thursday's weekly meeting. This has been postponed to Sunday, and we will be having the cricket event. This will actually be played with Rotary Indiranagar. I would again urge all the Rotarians to please come and attend and cheer our team. Thank you very much, Kathy.
May I now request past President D. Ashok to introduce our this evening's speaker. Dash is over to you.
Thank you, Gargi. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wonderful. So, Sushila and I, we are responsible, as you know, for weekly programs, and I shared this with Dr. Ramu. We were looking at what is it that we could do during this month. And one of the topics that we've been toying with has been organic farming, organic food, way of life being organic. Many of you know that I'm the chairman of an NGO called Green Foundation, capital GREN. It actually stands for Genetic Resource, Ecology, Environment, and Nutrition. And so I reached out to the CEO of Green Foundation and I said, our Rotary Club would love to have a program on the organic farming, and who would you recommend? Even before my mail had gone to him, I had a response saying, you should not look beyond Dr. G.V. Ramanjaneyulu, and Ramu for short, fortunately. And he said, he is a person who has a 360-degree view on agriculture, sustainable agriculture, organic farming, and everything else. And if you're looking for somebody to address your Rotary, look no further. So, Ramu, thank you very much. I know you were very gracious. You immediately accepted our input. Now, Dr. Ramu has a PhD. In fact, he has an MSc in Agricultural Sciences, and then he did his PhD, which is in the Andhra University, Andhra, Telangana now. And he has dedicated his entire life, in fact, the last about 27 years after his PhD, to all things sustainable and agriculture. Very, very a person who has done fantastic work in diverse areas, and the sustainable agricultural practice is something that has been of fascination to him, and of late he has been spending a lot of time on that. He's so humble, he still calls himself the agricultural scientist, right? With a specialization in agroecology, organic and natural farming, agribusiness, and public policy. And all of us know that the governments are engaged, climate change and various other topics. And a lot of this is about policy change. And Dr. Ramu has actually been working a lot in that area, and I'm sure he'll share with us. More importantly, some people on the crowd may know that especially the current Prime Minister has been boosting something called the Farmers Producer Organization. FPO is what it abbreviates to. And basically getting a bunch of farmers together to be able to self-certify, market their own produce, run their own cooperative, if you like. And there's been tremendous focus on making the rural agrarian economy a little bit more organized. And Ramu has been a person who has been at the forefront of that. He is also, after having worked for many years, been very, very keen in terms of co-promoting or promoting many organizations. To name a few, Krishna Sudha Academy, which he is very closely involved with as of now. The Sahaja Aharam, which he is going to talk about. I notice his title slide says that. B. Nishan, Fresh Bok, etc. And this is something that really keeps him going. More importantly, many of us have heard about the millet melas and the millets being revived, especially with the Prime Minister's personal interest. And Dr. Ramu also has been very closely associated with the entire millet movement. And so he works with the Millet Network in India, and I'm sure he'll touch on that as he goes along. The problem when you have somebody as accomplished as him is that if we keep talking about it, he'll have less time to listen to him. So let me do the fair thing and say, we're absolutely delighted to have Dr. Ramu with us today to talk to us. And many of us know that we're talking about climate change and whatever, but the whole move towards organic food, ways of thinking, etc., not just a fad, but why it makes a lot of sense in the current day and age. Dr. Ramu, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. How much time I will have? Maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes I will talk?
Yeah, 35 minutes. Typically, we have 5 question answers, and then, of course, the floor is open. But 30 to 35 minutes, you want 5 minutes more, be our guest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity to talk to you about food. Many times we feel food is impacting us, but are we making right choices with our food is something which we never look into. Whenever we think about choices, we only think about what is on our menu. We don't look at how it is grown, where we are buying, because all that impacts the food systems. So as consumers being very important part of the food system, we need to understand in a holistic way what is happening to food and then our food choices and what it is doing to us and also to the environment. I think that's something which we need to look at. So just briefly to tell you about where I come from, CSA, Center for Sustainable Agriculture, we started 20 years back and we work across the country. So today we work with 8 states in India, where in Andhra, Telangana, Maharashtra, we work with about 1 lakh farmers, supporting farmers to organize themselves into producer companies and then sell their produce directly to the consumers, and also help them to move towards organic production. So that's a core work which CSA does. And Sahaja Aharam is a producer company, which is a federation of farmer cooperatives. So we have 66 cooperatives which are promoted by CSA, each one having about 500 to 1,000 farmers. And they are spread over Andhra, Telangana, and Maharashtra. And CSA is also a resource organization for 154 FPOs, which we are supporting to manage themselves and then manage their agriculture. And CSA is also a recognized organic certification agency. And today we do about 3 lakh acres certification in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And this is one of the largest area in the country. So it's in 12 lakh acres, which is under organic certification under PGS system. CSA is doing around 3, means it's about 25% of the entire certification is done by CSA. So these are the stores where farmers sell directly. They are all branded as Sahaja Aharam. Sahaja Aharam means natural food in Telugu. It's a natural food. So we have retail stores and we also have mobile stores where the store goes to the consumers. And we also have an online store where we sell directly. The idea of Sahaja Aharam started when the farmers' share in the consumer's price is less than 20%. In the regular market, when you are buying any product in the market, farmers gets less than 20%. So we were trying to see if farmers can get better price. So that better price can come in if they can sell directly. So that's how the Sahajaram born. And today we are able to give around 50% of the consumer's price to the farmers. And the third institution we started is Krishna Sudha Academy for Agroecology. This is a research center. It works and a training center, research and training center, which is near Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. So this is a 40 acres campus where we have all models of organic farming setup. And we also have a long-term trials going on. And this is the first of its kind in the country where farmers can come stay, learn about organic farming and then food production, food processing, marketing. And we also have partnerships with various national and international institutions to offer these courses. So coming to food. So we have a lot of love, affection, and relationship with food. So it's not just about calories and nutrients, but there's a lot of emotions attached to the food as well. So food is, I would say, very closely linked to our life. But are we really making right choices is the key question we need to look at. Multiple reasons food is affecting our lives. And we call it as disability adjusted life years, which means, say, if normally, if I'm supposed to live for, say, 80 years, and if I'm living only for 60 years, I'm losing 20 years of my life. So that is the measure looking at what are all extraneous factors affecting your life. So that's one of the measures. So that way in India, 44% of the disability adjusted life years are because of the food related health problems. And nearly 53% of the deaths happening in the country are all linked to the food choices we make. And why this is happening, if you look at, it's the changes in the dietary habits we are having. So we are consuming more of food which is low on nutrients, high on calories, and which also we are consuming a lot on high on salt and high sugar and fat. And we are losing diversity. Our food has completely lost its diversity. That's one reason, one major reason. Second is a junk food, lot of dependency of junk food, which is leading to obesity and also non-communicable diseases like cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, etc. But another very important is also about the unsafe food. The production practices, if they are not safe, they also can affect the food quality. So chemical residues which are present in the food like pesticides, antibiotic, growth hormones, whatever are used in the food production comes back into your as residues into the food and we are consuming it. And also the residues which are going into the water or into the air also comes back to us. So whatever we are leaving as a footprint is coming back into your food, and that is something which is very seriously affecting our health. Other is the microbial contaminants. If food is not grown safely, food is not properly treated, food is not stored properly, there's a lot of microbial contaminants which can happen. And there's also new technologies which are unsafe, not tested properly, like genetically modified foods, which are also affecting our health. In addition to the production process, it is also about the preservatives added in the processing, adulterants. All these make food unsafe. So we need to make right choice in terms of consuming food and buy food. Of course, there are genetic predispositions in terms of causing allergies. Some are lactose intolerant, some are gluten intolerant. So these are genetic predispositions. But beyond that, it's a change in dietary habits, more dependency on junk foods, and the unsafe food production practices are affecting us, which we need to look for. So, for example, in the total food we consume in a day, 15 to 30% of the calories should come from fats, and around 5 to 6 grams of salt is what we need to consume max. If I'm a healthy person, 5 to 6 grams per day, and sugar is around 20 to 25 grams per day, not beyond that. And the carbohydrates can be around 55 to 75% for a normal human being, and then proteins are 10 to 15%. This is the normally recommended diet for anyone. But if we actually look at what we are doing, we make our food consumption really bad. So, for example, any of the aerated soft drinks which we take, the sugar is 40 grams in 300 ml. So it is nearly 3 times what you can consume. And we don't just stop with that, but we also eat a lot of other products along with that. So the rice, the coffee, sugar, teas, and also the chips and many other products. So put together, our consumption of these are increasing. So that's what is making us very, the food consumption is becoming very unsafe. Second, like I mentioned about diversity, the colors of food which you see, any of the fruits, say whether it's about red color of tomato, the pink color of beetroot, or green color of a leaf, or a white color of a milk, all these are the colors of the nutrients which they represent. All these colors which we see in food are the nutrients. And we are getting towards a very monoculture of food. Largely, it's about white and yellow is what we eat. So if it is rice and dal, or we eat rice and meat. Beyond that, we are not, or rice may be replaced with wheat. Beyond that, we are not getting into the diversity of food. If you look back, in good olden days, our plate used to be full of colors. But today, it is just bland white plus one or two other colors. So we need to move towards having more colorful plate, and then these colors should be natural colors. Another very important, we need to eat as much as we can spend. So, for example, when in India, particularly the South India, our food habits are all based on rice. We eat a lot of rice, both from the breakfast, lunch to dinner. We eat a lot of rice, and rice is one of the very good source of energy, and very quick release of energy happens with rice. But over a period of time, what happens is our habits have changed. Say, for example, here you see women working in the farm fields, bending and then actually transplanting. In an acre to transplant, it takes 16 kilometers to walk in that position. That's the kind of hard work they do. And for them, rice is a good source of energy, because quickly when they eat, it digests and then gives them energy. Instant energy is given. Whereas many of us who sit and work on desktops, we don't spend that energy. When we don't spend that energy, the energy gets converted into fat and it accumulates in the body. And in India, unfortunately, we are a spindle body types. So, say if you look at Western body types, say Europeans or Americans, the fat accumulates in their entire body. So from top to bottom, they will be fat. But in India, we don't, fat doesn't accumulate like that. It accumulates around the middle of the body. So we will have big backs and then pot bellies coming up. So we become round and round and round. That's what is happening because of our food habits. So we need to eat as much as we spend. Very, very critical. Another very important thing, particularly this is the question which brings us to why organic kind of thing. the food which we are eating gets its nutrients from the soil. So if the soil is deficient of nutrients, your food is also deficient of nutrients. So across the country, if you look at wherever there is anemia, the soils are also anemic. So if the soil is deficient in iron, crop is deficient in iron, food is deficient in iron, and people are deficient in iron. Without correcting the soils, if you are focusing only on pills to supplement or biofortification in terms of by adding additional nutrients to rice, it's not going to help. And why these deficiencies are coming up, which were not there, say, 20 years back or 50 years back or 100 years back? It is because we moved towards more of chemical fertilizers and applying only nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash as the fertilizers. The rest of the nutrients, which are more important, though in a small quantities, were supposed to come from the biomass. The plants should get recycled. So that's a composted plant material should give that nutrients, and we are not applying that. We are excessively dependent on chemical fertilizers, and that's what is leading to this situation. And the farmers, from a farmer's side, why they do this? If you look at chemical fertilizers are highly subsidized, whereas organic farmers have to spend on their own. That's one of the reasons the cost also goes up. Just to give you an overall understanding, a bag of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, they say nitrogenous fertilizer, which is available at 268 rupees a bag of 50 kg, is subsidized by about 2,800 rupees. So the government pays every bag which is sold at 265 rupees, 268 rupees to farmer. The company gets 2,800 rupees. So that's how the company survives. And then when you are applying that one, the use efficiency is less than 15%. And so the nitrogenous fertilizer leaves a lot of nitrous oxide into the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas, which is affecting the climate change. Also, it limits other nutrients. That's one of the reasons today, in 1960s, if you take when the Green Revolution happened, for every kg of fertilizer we are using, we used to get nearly 13 kg of grain production. And today, for every kg of fertilizer we are using, we are getting only 2.5 kg of grains. So that's a reduction which has happened. And the reduction happened because soils are losing its fertility. And very shocking, interesting study came up last week only. This is a study which shows that over past 50 years, the zinc and iron in rice has reduced by nearly 33%. 33% in rice and 30% and 19% in wheat. And this reduction happened particularly in the last 5 years. Various nutrients, if you look at, there is a significant reduction which is happening. And this reduction is harmful to the people. And it's not only reduction of certain nutrients, there is also increase in the heavy metals which is happening. Say, for example, arsenic, chromium, aluminum, these numbers are increasing in the rice and other crops. This is increasing because we are pumping water from deeper levels. So that is another major issue which is happening. Rice, which is grown in ponding conditions, I'll talk about it a bit later, is one of the harmful things which is happening. So chemical pesticides which are used, for example, when we use the pesticides, it kills all the weak insects and all the strong insects are left over. So you are actually selecting insects for genetic resistance. Similarly, when we are using antibiotics to increase our growth hormones in the animals, they come back into your milk and meat, and then it affects your body. So the residues which are coming up in the current farming methods are significantly impacting. So genetically modified foods in India, commercial release happened only for BT cotton, but there are many other crops which are sown illegally across the country. These are all the see, this is the packets which we found in the markets, which are using genetically modified products, but they're never labeled in the country. So what do we do, and then how do we understand this is something which is very, very critical. If you are not able to buy organic products, at least we should look at buying and cleaning products which are, because the pesticides remain on the surface of the products. So you need to clean them, clean properly. So cleaning can happen, you can do it by soaking in vinegar or soaking in salt water, so that the whatever is the layer of pesticides remain on the food can go. Some products are very critical because, say, like chilies, for example, highest amount of pesticides are used on chilies, but chilies are never washed in their life. Many products you actually scrape the outer layer or you remove the husk. Say if you are taking rice, you remove the husk. So whatever is remaining on the top will go. Whereas in chilies, the fresh chilies are dried and harvested and then they ground into chili powder and you are using. Though you may be using very little quantity of chili powder, but the amount of pesticides which are present in that will be very high because it is not washed, and also in the production it is very high quantity are used. So some suggestions in terms of how you can reduce the residues effects is something we need to look at. Another very important area we need to look at is the way it is processed. Say rice affects your health not only the way it is produced, but also the way it is processed. We, particularly in South India, we all look at very fine rice and also very highly polished rice. So when you are highly polishing it, we remove all the outer layer and all the nutrients are present in the outer layer. So we are finally consuming only the glucose. So this white layer, where white rice is nothing but glucose. Everything else is gone. And similarly, if you look at artificially ripened fruits, ethylene ripened fruits are better, but calcium carbide ripened fruits are very harmful. Calcium carbide is a carcinogen. Similarly, wax coated fruits, you can see the apples, oranges today comes up very shiny. And many of them are not grown in India, probably not grown in this year itself. They're not grown in 2024. They're harvested somewhere around 23 or 22. They travel long distances. Say, for example, if you're talking about Californian apples, they come from all the way from California, probably traveling in a ship for 45 days, but still they remain fresh because they're coated with wax. So when we are making choices, we need to look into all these and get out of it. Trans fats in edible oils, because if you remember in our childhood, we used to have the gunny oils, so which are cold pressed oils. Today, the oils are all highly refined, and also trans fats are added to increase the shelf life. So the trans fat is the most harmful thing. It's not the fat which is present in the oil which is harmful, but the trans fat which is the harmful one. And there's a lot of adulteration also happening. Say, for example, milk in Bangalore and Hyderabad, lot of milk was found to be synthetic. If you add urea and jaggery together and skim it, it looks like milk, and even in your lactometer cannot catch it. And metallic colors, the green vegetables, green peas are all metallic colors are added to look very lush green. And next time when you go to the mandi, you look at the person who is selling the green peas, and your hand would be completely worn out, eaten away by the metal. And that's what is. And turmeric, chili powder, all these are something which is highly contaminated, which is happening. So there are certain ways you can identify the adulterants and then get over it. Another very important area which I earlier skipped, I wanted to insist on, is on the food relationship with the environment, the way how food is related to environment. So, for example, rice. Whenever we talk about rice, this is a kind of vision we all get. So it's a large patches of crop where water is stagnant, but we often forget that water is a huge water and how much it consumes. What is the ecological footprint of rice? To tell you, this will be if a family is consuming about, say, 1 kg of rice a day. So 200 grams is what we consume in a day per head. So if you are a family of 5, you may consume around 1 kg. And 1 kg of rice takes about 5,000 liters of water. And 5,000 liters of water is a tanker of water. Imagine the amount of water we are pumping out. And in a season, it requires about 1280 millimeters of water. And in cities, in areas where, say, rainfall is around 600 millimeters, if you are using 1200 millimeters of water per growing rice in one season, you are using 2 years rainfall. And in the effective rainfall, it is less than 30%, which is actually stored. Rest of it goes into the drain. And so in the 30%, if you are storing using, We are using 4 years rain in one season. 4 years rain you are using in one season, or 4 acres rain you are using in one season. And that's one of the reasons there's a lot of crisis for water, and the water wars are happening, say the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu water war, or any other water fights we are seeing is all because of this water depletion. And the depletion is happening because of our unsafe and bad practices of growing. And 1 acre of rice requires nearly a full train of water tankers. So this tanker of train which went to Latur sometime back, and then regularly it goes to Chennai to supply water, and it takes 12 such trains to cultivate 1 acre of rice. So imagine what we are doing with our natural resources. Not only that, it's not just about water, but we are also destroying the soil. The puddling which you see, this is called puddling, where you churn the soil. This is to make the soil hard so that water won't go inside. And that is destroying the soil significantly. The soil structure is destroyed significantly. And the salt, this is all white patches which you see on soil, is all salinization. And this salinization is happening because when the water evaporates, it leaves salt behind. It's like sweating. When we sweat, the sweat evaporates. In the sweat, the water evaporates, and then the salt remains on our body. The same thing happens on the soil also. And 45% of water is contaminated with nitrates, which comes from the fertilizers. That's why today we are all forced to depend on the ROs and the bottled waters. I think that is the key thing. Also, on the climate change, which is very significantly happening. So the climate is changing because of the greenhouse gases. And we all talk about the urban car pollution, which is happening, but we don't look at what is happening from the farming. So rice, for example, in its cultivation, it leaves nearly 10 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions per acre. And India has 1150 crore hectares of paddy, and 1150 crore hectares of paddy emits nearly about 115 crore tons of carbon emissions. And this is equal to nearly 25.59 petrol cars driven for 1 year. India has only 4.3 crore cars. Imagine if 5 times the cars present in India are driven for 1 year, the amount of pollution caused is caused by the rice cultivation in the country. And rice cultivation, it's not just because of the rice, but because of the way it is grown. So the paddy, what we call paddy, actually means, it's an Indonesian term for water stagnant fields. Otherwise, rice doesn't need so much water. Rice can be grown with nearly 80% less water. But we all got habituated to grow rice keeping water, because water is supplied freely and power is free, and then you can use as much water you want. And we also talk about, whenever we talk about climate change and carbon emissions, etc., people say grow more forest, it will solve the problem. And the amount of pollution, the emissions coming from rice cultivation, if they have to be absorbed, it requires nearly about 1900 crore tree saplings grown for 10 years. Grown for 10 years, or 137 crore acres of forest in 1 year. So that's the amount of pollution we are causing because of the bad practices. And these bad practices has a vicious cycle. You need more water. So the more water you need, construct more dams, so more displacement. And dams themselves consume, I would say the dams themselves contribute for the climate change. And so this whole thing, from moving from the regular dams to, again, lift irrigation dams, causes much more pollution. So we are getting into a vicious cycle of climate change because of that. So going back to crop production systems which require less of these things is something which is very, very critical. And there are a number of practices which can help us, and very well established, which I talked about earlier as well. And another very important, particularly in the urban areas, we all need to talk about is the food waste. And food is grown with such a exploitation of natural resources, but we waste it. And we not only waste it, but we dump it. if there's a waste in your home, you can compost it easily instead of actually centralize that that decomposition. So if it is centralized, the composting is centralized, everything has to pass through the city, and then it creates more pollution. I'm sure Bangalore is much better compared to other cities because you have more decentralized systems in place. So let me get back to the question we started with. How do you change, and how your consumption choices can change the farming, and then how it can affect the environment? If you look from that point, it's not food not only affects your health, but it also affects the environment, like we looked at. If you're all consuming only rice and not the millets, for example, compared to 5,000 liters of water which is consumed by rice per every kg, millets consumes only 200 gram, 200 liters. So which means you can reduce it by significant amount. So crop choices are based on your consumption choices. If we all want to eat only rice, but if you want farmers to change over to millets, it's not going to happen. So we also need to make that choices, certainly. Similarly, there's a lot of carbohydrates we consume, so not the proteins. If you switch over to from rice consumption to more of proteins, millets, etc., the cropping patterns also shift. Today, pulse consumption is very low in this country. We don't eat as much, so pulse crops are not grown. If pulse crops are grown, soils can recoup their nutrients by themselves. So we are not doing that. So I think we need to make a choices more wisely. Similarly, on the production practices, very, very critical. Try to buy as much as possible organic food so that more organic farmers can come in and more area will shift towards organic farming. Today, if you look at the market, it is growing at a significant rate. India, it is growing at 28% compound growth rate, organic food market. So that is something which is impacting, which is good. So by making your choices, you not only impact on the crop choices and affect which also improve your health, but also you can change the environment. You can impact on the environment. So if say we were calculating in Telangana, if entire Hyderabad gives up one meal of rice a week, in a week, if we can give up one meal of rice, we probably doesn't need to build a dam of Polavaram dam kind of thing. You don't need, because that much water can be saved. So that's the amount of ecological footprint all of us has because of our food choices. So what we do is we work with the farmers, we help them to produce organically, and we also help them to sell directly to the consumers. So these are the stores which we have. We call them as Sahaja direct marketing. We also created farmers market platform where farmers can sell directly. And there's also quality assurance system that every packet sold in the market can be traced back to the farmers. And so there's a traceability available. We also do a lot of consumer engagement. So this is one of the effort we are making. So we tend to talk to more of the consumers so that they can make right choices. We also do local value addition so that the incomes of farmers also can go up. So these are the stores which we have, like I mentioned. So as far as possible, buy directly from the consumer, from the producers, so that whatever you are paying can go to the farmers. Sahajaram is in Hyderabad and other places in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Karnataka has many other cooperatives. You can buy directly from them. This is another initiative we had. We call it as Fresh Box, where vegetables are delivered. We started in Hyderabad, but we are going to start in Bangalore and other places also. It's a curated box of vegetables based on the dietary requirements of the family. So this is something we are trying out. You can check out how you can make the choices of the vegetables as well. So we also work with women self-help groups in Telangana to sell their vegetables and fruits directly to the consumers. And we are also starting our work in Karnataka. We partnered with Karnataka government. So now natural farming program, we are going to coordinate in the Karnataka state also. So we help farmers to sell directly to the mobile stores. So these are all the mobile stores which go around in the villages and urban areas, and then farmers sell directly. And couple of years back, we started another interesting and very innovative idea is making temples go organic. So in Andhra Pradesh, Balaji temple is the largest temple in the country. So Balaji temple is going organic, and then we are supplying the food the entire raw material to the temple. So 2021, we supplied around 1,000 metric tons. And then last year, 22-23, we supplied around 31,000 metric tons. This year, we are expecting to reach nearly about 2 lakh tons. And there's a huge consumption happens. And then we also feel this will have a ripple effect because people can see and then people can feel about it. And then many other temples, many other mats in Karnataka will go organic. So this is one initiative we are trying out to take organic to the people. We also work with schools and help school children to grow their own vegetables. So these are all set up like that. So children can learn by doing. And so we also develop course syllabus for natural resource management, agriculture, and food. And then we teach school children from 2nd to 10th class. So these are all the schools which are growing their own vegetables. And so there are social welfare schools where we have set up kitchen gardens where they can produce entire menu. So children also learn in terms of based on menu how to grow what they want. So today, if I sow tomato, I may be harvesting it after 3 months. So how many tomato plants I need, how much area I need to put in tomato so that my dietary requirement can be met. So that's a plan we could teach children, and then they are doing very effectively. And we also work with urban consumers to grow vegetables on their rooftops. So this is another big initiative we have. We teach people to grow on their roof gardens and the small places they have. Any little space you can grow. You just need about 3 to 5 hours of light, direct light or indirect light, which you can get. Depending on that, you can choose the crops. This is my hope. So I grow everything myself. And so to end, I would say care for your food and care for those who feed the nation. That's what can make you healthy. Thank you.
Can't hear anything. Can't hear.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
So now open for discussion.
Yes.
Do you have a office here, doctor, in Bangalore?
Not yet, but we will be starting soon. We are currently working with the Department of
I
Agriculture.
saw in the internet there is one shop in Brigade Meadows.
That's not Sahaja Aharam. It is Sahaja Samruddha. That's another Sahaja Organics is another store. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have any stores here. Which are the stores which supply the same, organic food here? Mandya. There's one Mandya Organic.
No, we are supplying vegetables to some of the stores in Bangalore. Mandya,
Okay.
Organic Mandya is there. Yes. And we also supply vegetables to some of the stores from Anantapur and other areas. So we are working with the Karnataka government to supply from the local farmers. So we are setting up the systems now. So probably by next year it will be there.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Is there any way we can identify organically grown vegetables and vegetables which are not grown organically?
Visually, you cannot identify. We need to only do residue analysis. That only can give you.
I see.
Or go by a label. So it's either we go by a label or we go by residue testing.
A label. Okay. So this is we have to believe what we are thinking that this is organic.
Label is a certification. Yeah.
Is there anything, any other detail
because
in the label?
No, currently Government of India made it mandatory that any food which is claimed to be organic should be certified. So there is a certification system which is put in place, and the certification system has become stringent in the last couple of years. So Every product can be traced back. So the number gives you who has produced, which farmer has produced. So that kind of details are available. And there is a constant monitoring happening. But of course, since it's India, a lot of violations also do happen. I would say things were far better compared to, say, 5 years back, but still a long way to go in India.
Thank you.
There may be a great future in label manufacturing.
See, we need to innovate on labeling as well. I would say, if you want a costly packing, if you want a international labeling, obviously it will be expensive as well. So we can look at innovative ways of building the trust. So that's where actually these farmers cooperatives, participatory guarantee system based certification, these comes into picture. Where instead of external agencies coming and verify, we can have consumers verifying and doing it as well.
How much more expensive is organic food?
It ranges. It ranges, I would say. Say, for example, at Sahajaram, we are around 20% higher than the open market price. And in many times, it may go up to 50%, and some may sell at 100%. And often this has nothing to do with what they pay to the farmers. So many times what is happening is that these are all because of the space. Say, if I had to sell in MG Road in Bangalore, my rental would be around 2 to 3 lakh rupees per month. So I will be loading all that onto the consumer. So that is what is happening. Also, in terms of say producers, where producers are very distributed, their collection cost is also very high. So, for example, if you look at Karnataka, the farmers are spread over the entire state. They are not in one place. So, if I had to collect, I had to collect from all over the places. Organic Mandia was the first initiative where one district tried to get all farmers in one place. Otherwise, I had to get tomatoes from here, and if I had to collectivize even a ton of tomatoes, I had to get it from 20 farmers. 20 farmers lives in 20 different villages. So that was a cost factor earlier, but now slowly it is moving to a better situation.
So this traceability that you said from the packets, can a consumer trace it back to understand which
Yes.
farmer or which? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of website or something for it?
Yes, there is a website called Jaivik Krishi. Jaivik Krishi. I'll send you. You can look at it, and the number on the packet can be put there, and they can get it.
Okay.
See, as far as the pulses are concerned, it's much more easier to identify the difference between a non-organic and organic, okay, because it's labeled accordingly. But as far as the fruits and vegetables are concerned, which are often we purchase probably from just a vendor and all, how do you really differentiate? It's very difficult.
Very difficult. So that's why the source is very critical. So we need to figure out how that can happen. So mostly stores which are marked as organic and then which are monitored regularly may be a better way of buying.
Yeah, especially here I have got one more query, like a country like India, which is so vast, and our socio-economic structure is also so different from one state to other, one city to another also. How do you feel that it can be implemented to a complete organic probably in near future, say few years down the line?
Okay. So I would say there is a more of consumer awareness happening now, and also more of consumer engagement also happening. Say earlier, people, even if they are buying, they are just buying from the store. They are not trying to engage with the consumers. But last few years, there is a significant engagement with the consumers happening. Say, for example, I know in Bangalore, there are at least 5 locations where farmers market happens, weekly farmers market, where farmers directly comes and sells. In some areas, it is called Santai. So they are doing it. So there are more connections with the consumers happening. So consumers also have to make an effort to understand what is happening in this space and make some right choices. I think like we put a lot of effort on our clothes. I think we should also put some effort on our food as well to buy from the right sources. That's what I would suggest. And there is a change happening, and also regulatory system is improving. I would certainly say regulatory system is improving. Probably in the next couple of years, we may also have technologies where optical solutions will come, where you can scan and then say whether the food has any residues.
Has anyone has got any more question? I guess no. May I now request Ruchir and Kyle to give the vote of thanks, please?
Thank you, Gargi. Dr. Ramu has elaborately explained about how the farming, our lifestyle, our choices affects not only our health, but also the entire planet and the environment. So he explained how we can make a choice of our food from rice to millets or other things. It was really a very useful session. Thank you, sir. We look forward to more such information. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you very much. It's a
And
privilege.
thank you, Doctor,
Yeah.
for talking
Yeah.
to us. I mean, definitely it has thrown a lot of light about
Thank you.
organic
Someday we will
foods.
do personally. In person, someday we will do in Bangalore as well.
Yes.
Since we are going to engage with the consumers in Bangalore also. So we'll certainly get back to you
Sure.
at that
We
time.
definitely look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for it.
I adjourn the meeting.